Fashion has been and always has been about more than just clothes. It's art, history, status, culture, rebellion, all woven into an attire. Every era communicates its values through clothing, and every society has rules set on what can and can't be worn in public. But I mean, top of my mind right now on examples of this is the restriction placed on masculinity. Men's fashion today has a narrow range of what is considered acceptable. If a man tries to express himself through jewelry, painted nails, colorful clothes, or makeup, which I think everyone should be allowed to, people often call him feminine. This reaction reveals how modern masculinity is viewed. Like it's seen as this rigid, fragile, and constantly monitored thing. The issue is not whether men should dress femininely. The issue is why masculinity in fashion became so restrictive in the first place. Because ordinary self expression is interpreted as a threat to masculine identity for some reason. And one of the biggest misconceptions in modern fashion discourse is the belief that clothing has inherent gender, which historically that's not true because many items considered feminine today were once associated with male power, wealth, or nobility. Like uh, high heels were originally worn by those Persian cavalrymen and later adopted by those aristocratic people from Europe. And they were seen as these symbols of status and authority. Like wigs, makeup, silk, embroidery, jewelry were common amongst wealthy men throughout European history. And even in many cultures, robes, skirts, draped fabrics in general are considered masculine forms to dress. The odd notion that masculine fashion must appear visually restrained, like dark colors, um, smaller accessories, or very simple silhouettes, are not a timeless tradition. Matter of fact, they are recent social developments. And this matters because it exposes an important truth. Fashion standards are culturally constructed, not biologically fixed. If masculinity back then included flamboyance in their fashion or visual extravagance, then modern masculine fashion rules are not naturally formed laws. They are temporary social changes that will continue to change over time. Women can move from masculine to feminine aesthetics relatively easy. A woman can wear oversized suits, baggy streetwear, combat boots, or whatever, and be viewed as this fashionable person, but masculine traits in women's fashion are often interpreted as bold or modern. As for the men, we experience the opposite pressure, where we adopt clothing or styling associated with femininity. Society often reacts way more negatively to us. Like even the slightest deviation that we take from conventional masculine clothing, we will be, I guess, victims of mockery. A man wearing a softer fabric will immediately be called feminine regardless of the rest of his appearance or personality. In many environments, colorful or expressive dressing alone is enough to provoke criticism. This creates an unspoken social rule that I'm really against because women can borrow masculinity, but men are punished for borrowing femininity. Am I saying it right? Okay. As a result, many men learn to stay inside a narrow, safe zone of acceptable presentation, like neutral colors, basic silhouettes, minimal accessories, and emotionally detached aesthetics become defaults not necessarily because men prefer them, but because they avoid social risk. Part of the problem is that modern masculinity is viewed as fragile. Like, society sees it as something that men should constantly support or basically show off. It's weird how femininity is seen as this inherent thing within every woman, but masculinity is this condition that every man must perform to show off, to confirm their masculinity. Cause like as if it would be lost through behavior, emotion, or appearance. Which it won't, which it won't. This kills fashion because it makes it less about self expression and more about social validation. Clothing is used to reassure others that a man is still masculine enough, And this explains why some people react so strongly to harmless forms of self expression. The discomfort is often not about the clothing itself, because it is about the fear that masculine boundaries are becoming unstable. I'd go so far to say that criticism on men's fashion is less about what they're wearing or its appearance itself and its aesthetics, but more so about society's expectations on what men should wear. This is why hyper masculine fashion trends sometimes feel performative, because certain aesthetics emphasize aggression, emotional detachment, or exaggerated toughness. And it's not because they are authentic, it's because they visibly reassure people of their masculine identity. The irony here is that confidence should theoretically allow greater freedom in self expression. If you are really sure about your masculinity, if you really are comfortable of your position as a man, then you wouldn't really care about what to wear. A society obsessed with protecting masculinity eventually will limit their own creativity. Men will become discouraged to explore into color, texture, or other silhouettes, and artistic presentation will lose experimentation and individuality. In the end, clothing does not possess gender on its own. Society assigns meaning to. In the end, in the end, clothing does not really have an assigned gender to it. Society assigns its own ideas. In the end, in the end, clothing does not have gender to it. Society assigns any meaning they want into it, and just like society, those meanings will change.